So first things first, best episode of season 2 if you ask me. I had a blast watching this episode. Production, everything, I was good with it. And overall I've enjoyed the second core a lot, but like this was just easily my favorite of the episodes. Rack crying and reuniting with Bam is still the best moment of season 2, but as an episode, yeah, this one takes the cake. But that has to be like sure, on a personal level for Bam, Rachel pushing him's worse because oh my god, someone he thought he loved and could trust betrayed him. And you know, we see how in the Fug's name that works out for him. But the Super Meat Boy hat wielding Beta B over here brutally stabbing him, ripping it out of, and that's like a heart shot right there. I don't know how he survived that. To then, if you put Rachel pushing Bam side by side, that it almost looks like it's identically directed with how he falls. Like this man has, it just, I really hope, in all honesty, that every season someone pushes him down a giant hole. Because that's just disrespectful and make it worse every time. Rachel betrays him, emotionally hurting, and damn, that's gonna hurt on the downside. Okay, second time, stab through the heart and push down a hole. You can't top this. Season 3, shotgun to the face, falling down a hole. Just keep escalating it. Because Jesus, man, this dude is not catching a break. I have full live reactions over on Patreon if you want to see my full and thought to any of this Tower of God greatness. It's over there exclusively. And honestly, yeah, I'm enjoying it. It feels like greatness right now. Do I still wish maybe it looked something similar to like a solo leveling? Of course I do. But I mean, I'm enjoying it. And as I've been saying, I am excited for season 3. And I do think we will get it because despite maybe there are a lot of criticism surrounding it, it still gets mad streaming numbers, and I don't see Crunchyroll not wanting this to continue. So yeah, we'll see where it goes. So the most important thing that happened this episode is of course Rack, because Rack is the true MC, right? You know, you could actually commit to killing Bam off right now, and we could just have a vigilante arc with Rack, because this has to be the funniest thing. They're like, hey Rack, you gotta hide your face. Okay, sure. I mean, Gator's a pretty recognizable character design. Maybe a hood. Hell, even a scarf. Like a scarf wrapped around, you know, and just maybe have his eyes visible. That's a pretty good... No, a ski mask. A ski mask that doesn't cover the mouth at all. We have a child-sized Gator wearing a generic t-shirt and a ski mask. The sad thing is apparently it ain't gonna last, because that's quite the look for Rack, and I love that. But you know, last week, pretty big bombshell of what they plan to do with obviously Bam, and of course this weapon, and essentially, you know, why would you give the power, this great power, to someone who could easily stab you in the back? Well, you're not going to. You're essentially gonna destroy that bitch ass and just use him for his body. And yeah, like it ain't looking good. Like in terms of Bam escaping by himself, it felt close to impossible. He couldn't use his abilities. He was just stabbed through the chest. I don't think he's gonna physically get out of that goop, right? Like, he's pretty much just waiting there. Now, could he do something? Yeah, they might go that route. But instead, the plan is essentially they're gonna try to summon Bam, which is interesting, because when they initially say that, I'm thinking to myself, is that the dumbest thing I've ever heard or the most brilliant? But it's probably the most brilliant, because we know there's a whole summoning system at play, and Bam would technically still be registered as a player in this event, right? So if they are able to summon him, yeah, it probably would work. And would they think to disable that? In hindsight, they probably should, but, you know, in the moment, they might not. So that's kind of brilliant. And honestly, I just kind of like how it's, you know, you can tell you're approaching the end of a season, not in the way just because of obviously the episode count, but it just feels like collectively, with the way the season 1 and 2 casts have come together, the whole Fug plotline, even if I have my issues with how the first half of the season went, I do appreciate that I do feel like I'm getting payoff for all the little and bigger pieces throughout it. Could I still have, you know, could I sit here and break down still all the things that I think they did wrong? Sure, but I already did that in previous videos. There's no use beating a dead horse. Instead, let's take a look and say, okay, well, yes, Bam turning into Viola, having an alter ego, and, having to, separate himself from his friends and family because ultimately if he doesn't, Fug will kill them. To see how they are now collectively working to save him and how we're taking the fight back to fight. It's just, it feels like good reward for getting through the season. And I mean, I've been saying it all throughout the seasons. Like, sometimes I was liking like the beginning of season 2, I very much enjoyed, and then it kind of was like, oh shit, what the hell's going on? But I've never like just mindlessly hated this season for no reason. And if anything, I've had one of the more positive voices towards this season for anyone who's making content, because even when I thought it was at its worst, I never gave up on it, and I knew it had potential to redeem itself, and I really feel like it has. Would I prefer it to have visuals similar to a Solo Leveling? 100%. I would take also it looking like season 1 because I prefer the art style. At first, I was okay with the new art style, but yes, it just doesn't have the same impact as season 1 for me. But I like this episode. I like the payoff. I like how they're tying everything with Emily. I like how they're tying everything with Bam. Currently, I don't feel like there's loose ends that I feel like they're not going to tie up for what they were establishing. There's a lot of strands that could have been fleshed out better, but I actually feel like they're tying off this season pretty damn well, and I'm having fun. I mean, there's stuff I dislike about it that's just a personal bias thing, like I hate that Bumblebee character. I think it's the worst. I think it is, for me, my objective truth, it is the worst god-awful character design ever. It's just, why is he like that? Why does he look like Winnie the Pooh mixed with a human and child body? It just, he grosses me out. And he grosses me out even more when he's not properly dressed. But I'm not going to say Tower of God's ruined because I dislike his character design, right? The stuff that was wrong, I feel like, the thing I'm most interested in is when we get Season 3. I really hope it's another 2-core. Because if it's a split core or just a normal Season 3 and then we gotta wait for a Season 4, because from what I understand, it's just a lot of like, setup core, payoff core. How is Season 3 gonna feel if they have a similar function as Season 2? Like, will I immediately just be like, okay, I see how it is. I'm not a fan of the intro to Tower of God arcs, but I like their payoff. Or is it just that Season 2 story simply wasn't for me the same way Season 1 was? I hope it's not going to be a case that I'm continuously like, damn, like I'm not a fan of like the new intros and stuff, because it might just be a case that Tower of God just has so many introductions that it's impossible for an anime to properly flesh things out. It is possible, but I mean, given with where we're ending the season, it's pretty freaking good if you ask me. I'm not saying it's a masterpiece or anything, but I mean, I like it. I like it a lot. I had a lot of fun watching this episode, and just keep, whatever they do, I don't even care if the source material removes Rack a fair amount. Anime original decision. Rack stays in the cast every single time, and the show will never dip below a 7 out of 10. Trust. Let me know your thoughts and feelings down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course, ring that bell, and like I mentioned, full live reactions over on Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. So today we got Keegan Miller, Adelacium, Aiden, Jan Peterson, Hune, Jamel, Roscoe, and we also have Zeekster. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care, and y'all have a good one.